Hello all, I just received my ElectricAllWheel dual battery kit, and it contains everything you need except the extra battery, the secondary battery. And I chose to use the Halong 48 volt 10 ampere hour battery, which is going to fit nicely behind the Lectric XP 3.0 seat post. I'm going to install it on the step-through model. So stay with me, and I'll try to do a step-by-step install. Okay, the first step in installing the ElectricAllWheel dual battery kit on the Lectric XP 3.0 step-through is to remove the controller cover plate. Looks like there's about 5 Phillips head screws, and prior to that, of course, the battery has to come out, the bike folded in half, and I'm going to remove the screws. So I'll put things on pause and take the 5 screws out. Okay, now that all 5 screws are out of the controller cover, we can see the XT60 connector that goes to the controller. So we'll pull out the controller out of the cavity and take a look at installing the dual battery discharge adapter down in that cavity. So that'll be my next step. Fairly straightforward. So I'll put things on pause while I do that and be back. Okay, guys, the wiring is really straightforward on this. In my left hand is the connector for the electric battery. And this is the discharge balancer in my hand here. It has a, let's see here, it has 2 inputs and 1 output. So the first input comes from the electric battery through this XT60 connector, and it goes into the input here. The second input is the cable that I fed down through the frame, and that cable comes out the bottom right here, down near the bumper. But I fed one of the cables through here. It's got an XT60 on it that'll go to your secondary battery, and that just feeds down through the hole in the frame, and it comes up through the frame right here and attaches to the other input in the balancer. So then the output from the balancer goes into the controller. From the controller has a power cable that goes out to the motor down through the frame. It's got a round connector on it, and it's not an XT60, it's a special round connector. So now my next step is to tuck everything back in the cavity here, and then after it's neatly tucked in there, I will put the cover plate back on, the one with the contacts for the electric battery, and we'll fire it up with the secondary battery without the electric battery, just to demonstrate how easy this process is. It only takes probably 15 minutes, and once you've done it, it's even quicker. So I'm going to put this on pause while I put things back together. See you in a bit. Okay, now I've put the controller and the dual discharge balancer down in the cavity. It's easiest there's room where I'm pointing to put the discharge balancer in, so I slid it down there. There's like a cavity right under my left finger here. And then if you tuck the balancer out of the way, you've got plenty of room to push the controller in, leaving enough room to put your cover back on. So I'm going to tuck the wires in, and put the screws back in, and I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to put things on pause. Okay guys, here we go. The cover plate is back on with these 5 screws, and the XT60 male connector is sticking out the bottom of the bike through this access hole. All the wiring goes up through this hole in the frame on the step through. It may vary on the high step, but I have a step through. So I'm getting ready. My next step is to fold the bike or close the bike up, and I'll leave out the factory battery for now and just demonstrate the bike running on the secondary battery, which is the Halong 48 volt 10 amp battery. So we'll put things on pause while I fold the bike back together. All right, this is what the Halong battery looks like dropped down into the step-through frame. This is again the 48 volt 10 amp Halong battery. I believe they're like $200 or $250 on Amazon. It's a pretty good value compared to other 10 amp batteries, which I think the factory's like 400 or something like that. So they also make them in larger sizes. Like I also have a triangular 52 volt 20 amp battery that I use on other bikes. But these are pretty portable. You can move them around from bike to bike where you have dual discharge adapters installed, and you just merely plug the battery into the cable that runs to the dual discharge adapter, and then you've got your other battery hooked in from the main battery from the bike, and you can basically extend your range. You know, if you've got a 10 amp main battery and then the 10 amp here, you can double your range. I bought the extended battery, but so I've got like 24 ampere hours total. Very clean install. It only takes probably 15 minutes and maybe a little longer for the first time. Probably the most time-consuming thing for some people would be tucking the controller and the dual discharge adapter into the frame. But once you know where everything goes, it's pretty easy. So there's sort of a cavity in the bottom of the step-through, the controller cavity, and I just stuffed the discharge adapter down in the bottom, and then the controller went in the top, and then the wires just tuck in neatly behind. Put the cover on, put in the 5 screws, and you're good to go. Plug in the battery, and then the next step is I'm just going to fire this guy up. It's the one thing you'll know is there's no key in that battery, so it's always powered up. But a lot of e-bikes are that way, that they don't have a switch on them. There's always power to the controller, so once you turn the on switch on, you've got power. And with this bike, you've got to put it on, this is the 3.0, you've got to put it on PAS 1 or above. And let me excuse the videography here. So I'll lean the bike over and fire it up, and there we go. And let's say you're 23 miles per hour. So this bike is unlocked, and with pedal assist and PAS 5, it'll reach 28. It's probably more comfortable at 25, 26, but it's definitely got more power than the 2.0, and you can feel it when you're hill climbing and so on. So there it is. It's fairly easy, and I'm just going to put my primary battery back in, and I'm all set. By the way, ElectricAllWheel has kits for other bikes. They have, just go to their electricallwheel.com and look up their various kits. They're adding new ones all the time. They have, they just came out with one for, I believe, Hemingway, Magicycle, and a couple other brands. Also, they have a kit for the Rad Mission, which I just received. I'm going to install it on my Rad Mission. It looks like that's that's going to make the rad mission pretty nice setup with a second battery. And so there you have it. Enjoy your bike. These bikes are awesome, and with that kit, they're even better. Okay, take care.